Good morning, Tool Talk. I am at my dealer, and today is the day that I get my steering box replaced. I'm going to cover down on a couple things before we take it in and drop it off, so that they can fix that steering box and the sloppiness of the steering. And in my previous videos, and as you've seen plenty of other people post about the sloppiness in the steering. So I've done videos to fix that. And when Jeep released a steel, the two different boxes are going to be aluminum and steel. When Jeep released the steel box for the 2020 Gladiator, I went ahead and put my name in my dealer to have that replaced, just because I wanted it done now, so I didn't have to deal with that many years later, because the 21s are now getting that steel box. So I want to cover down on that real quick before we take the truck in and show you the difference, and we'll do the before and after. And that way you'll know for sure whether you have the new box or the old. And that will also cover the 2020 and 2021 Gladiator. All right, from looking at the front of your truck, if you look down past the air box at an angle to the left of the air plenum, you'll see a silver gearbox. This is your steering box right here. I realigned the marks that were on it originally from the stock, because I did have that adjusted in my previous videos, and you can go back and check that out. But since the box is now under warranty, you can go in and have this TSB done, technical service bulletin. They'll remove those 4 bolts, and this aluminum, or you can see the color of aluminum is a little lighter. The new box will be black and steel. So let's get that done. So there it is. That's the brand new steel steering box. It comes with 4 bolts, the steering box, a reprogrammed pump that runs, the lines run across here and over here to the pump on the passenger side of your engine. And that's also what these large wires are for. On the top of your engine bay, it actually is your steering pump. It uses a lot of power, so they're large gauge wires. But what you're looking for is, if you open the hood of any Jeep Gladiator and you look inside and you see a black pump or a black steering gear, that is indicator that you have a steel box, and that is the upgrade. It is a tremendous change in how it feels and steers, and I'm going to cover a little bit more on that in a minute. So under the Jeep, I do have the Synergy brace, but what I've done, as in the beginning of the video, I took the billet aluminum piece that's off here completely off and put the nut back on. I used a large 42mm wrench for this, but if you don't have one, you can also use a big pipe style wrench to torque that. All I have to do now is put that back on. It's not necessary. The steering is so much tighter with the new box, but I'm going to go ahead and put that brace on there because I am running very large tires, and it just holds everything together. If you haven't watched it yet, go check out my steering foundation video on the Synergy bracket, and it explains a lot on why this bracket is so good for your Jeep. It's not just for tightening the steering up, but it's also for lateral forces that push left to right or laterally on your Jeep's suspension in the front. So that does kind of tie everything together, and it's much stronger because of the gussets and these spans of metal. They actually provide kind of like if you've seen a large beam that goes across a ceiling joist, or a steel beam that has a C-channel, when the channel comes 90 degrees off of the material that you're at, it provides a lateral force. The metal's unlikely to flex this direction, not just this direction. So that's very, very well built, and I still would recommend the Synergy piece. From your dealer, here will be the parts that you'll be replacing. It'll be the steering wheel wanders description, replace steering gear box due to internal gear wear. I only had my Jeep for I'm at 2,000 miles and I've had it for 8 months. I'm on an island in Guam, and so this wasn't a big issue because of my driving or because I had big tires on it. This was straight from the day one. So they knew that because I complained about it since I bought it here 9 months ago. What changed were these part numbers: the gear, the bolt, and the fluid. So because they had to pull the pump off, it's not because they're putting new fluid in it, because it's different fluid. It's just the same fluid. So that's a good part number. What it did change was they put new bolts on there, and they changed the steering gear. The big thing is the programming that goes into the Jeep when they program it at the OBD2 sensor location, or the plug. They reprogram the gear. So if you have I have a program under here, and it's just plugged and tucked back up under here. I do have the taser. I removed the taser. I didn't disconnect it from the vehicle. I just unplugged it. So electronically, I didn't go in here and change anything. But under here, I just unplugged it and plugged it back in the stock way. Took it in for service, and they replaced these and reprogrammed. Then when I put my taser back on, it kept the settings that I'd already put in the steering wheel, so you don't have to change all that. So as for final driving impressions, the wheel, when I turn the wheel, it turns the truck. There's no synergy brace on here. So as I rock this thing, I am fully rocking the truck. Even if I do it quick, I can feel it twitching. Whereas the old steering wheel, when I did this with the old box, I would have a good 3 to 6 degrees of slop in either direction. As you saw in the beginning of the video, it is has tremendously changed the driving characteristics of the front end of this vehicle. It's lifted with like 2.5–3 inches of lift with the Mopar kit and a leveling kit. The front control arms are a little longer, but they still probably need some more adjustment. But the truck overall tracks straight. It finally has a solid feel. It does not feel like it was loose or sloppy as previously diagnosed with the setup I had. And driving it has now been like, instead of me doing all this work to fix something that Jeep should have done just to begin with, you know, that black box, the black painted steel box, the reason it's black and not silver like the aluminum one is the aluminum, once aluminum gets a little bit of corrosion on it, it protects itself. So aluminum generally doesn't get any kind of paint or clear coat generally. But with this black box, it's steel, so they painted it, and I'm in Guam, so obviously I want to make sure that black is touched up and make sure there's nothing on it where they've been scratched. The Jeep, I barely move the wheel now. Like, I don't feel like I'm tracking it to force it to go the direction I want it to. It feels very smooth. It's very very linear in the transition to left and right. I finally feel at peace about the steering in this truck. Like before, if you watched my videos and I did the braces and I did the box adjustment with the screw, you know, that was my original video. It had a lot of hits. I can tell you that this is going to fix that without having to adjust the box, having to deal with anything else as far as steering goes. This is the fix. As much as I liked the box adjustment, I've done that on other vehicles, and I still would recommend it. If your vehicle hasn't had the TSB done, just go in and have it done. If you're buying your truck used, make sure that it has the black box under the hood. And if you're buying a 21, that's how you're going to know for sure that the 21 models got the change. If you're driving a 21, you should have that black box, so you could, you know, go under the hood and check it. But this is pretty much the end of the driving impressions. I'm completely 100% satisfied, and I'm a Jeep owner for many years, 2 decades even, and I am not the pickiest guy in the world, but I am so glad this is done. Like somebody who's very picky, I could see this being a deal breaker for Jeep in the sales department, because I wouldn't want to drive a Jeep that felt like that. But even being a guy who's had Jeeps, this is by far night and day difference. So go ahead and get the TSB done. That's my recommendation. All right, well, that's about it. A trip to the dealer, a couple of weeks of waiting time. Definitely, I think, is the right way to go with the steering box replacement. If you've done a lot of the other stuff that we've already talked about, just go ahead and take the parts off that you need to for the track bar brace and go ahead and get it done. It's like night and day difference. It's sad that we have to run through all of these hoops and jump all of these hurdles to get Jeep to fix one thing that we really needed to be fixed on the Jeep. The steering feels everything, so definitely the way to go. Go ahead and get it replaced. Don't worry about messing with the box now. If it's this late in the time that you've owned your Jeep, go ahead and go have it done. Get the TSB filed, and you know, just ask the Jeep dealer to do right by you, and that's all you can do. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Click like, subscribe, and I've got another video coming out. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've done some things, but with the season and COVID, it's kind of slowed me down a bit. So thanks, guys. Bye.